Hey, it's Kate from the Literary Apothecary, and today we are going to be talking about Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. I finished this book last week and I absolutely loved it. It was my favorite Brandon Sanderson book so far. Granted, I've only read now 3 of his books, but I loved this. It was my favorite. This is a YA science fiction novel, part of his series. We follow Spencer, who is a girl who's lived with the story of her father, the legendary coward of her planet. And Spencer has always dreamed of being a pilot. Now she finally gets a chance as she joins the DDF flight school, which is like essentially the federal flight school, the national flight school. We see Spencer's successes and failures and friendships made along the journey. And like I said, this is book 1 in a planned 4-book series, I believe. People will correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe it's going to be 4 books. Right now there's 2, a 3rd one coming out this year, I think. So I loved this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was a bit of a slow start for me in the first few chapters, but once I got Spencer's character, I was intrigued, and once Mbot showed up, I was completely hooked. And Sanderson definitely made up for the slow start at the end, as he usually does. And I won't talk about the ending because that's going to give away spoilers, and my reviews are spoiler free. But just know that the ending is absolutely nuts. I loved this book so much that as soon as I was done reading it, I wanted to pick it back up and read it again. It took me days to stop thinking about this book. I just kept thinking about it and everything that happened at the end, and all of my favorite people in this book, and my favorite characters, period. Because let's face it, Mbot is a talking ship, but he's a person, he's a character. He was amazing. I couldn't stop thinking about this ending. It was so good, but I couldn't stop thinking about this book. That's how good it was. I enjoyed this book so much. I think even more than Mistborn: The Final Empire, which I only read the first 2 books in the Mistborn series, but I definitely enjoyed this much more than the first 2 books of that series. I enjoyed just about every bit of this book, whereas Mistborn, there was some parts that I really enjoyed, some characters I really enjoyed, but as a whole, I would say definitely enjoyed Skyward more than Mistborn, which might be an unpopular opinion. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if I'm with the majority or not. I loved seeing Spencer's personality and friendships develop, and even though it was hard, I loved seeing Spencer come to terms with the hard truths that she's learned throughout her journey in Skyward. I can't wait to move on to book 2, Starsight, I believe is what it's called. My favorite character in Skyward was by far Mbot. He's this talking spaceship that can simulate emotions, and I loved how much of a friend he was to Spencer, his attitude and sass, and his humor. He was a great character and a great comic relief throughout the book, and I really hope that we see more of him in book 2. Some of my favorite quotes from Skyward, it turned out that strange little girls grew up to be strange young women. I would have pretended to know you if I were capable of lying. And that's Mbot really talking about the enemy ships that Spencer is fighting, and he can't lie, but he's pretending to be friends with these other ships because they're both ships. And it just shows a little bit of his humor. And then the last quote is also from Mbot. It must be nice to have free will. And this was a conversation that Spencer and Mbot had about free will, and it was just heartwarming to see that side of Mbot, because we get mostly just his humorous side, and that was a really touching conversation that they had. So like I said, 5 out of 5 stars for Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. I absolutely loved this book. I can't wait to read book 2. And that's it for now. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Keep reading, and I love you all to the moon and back. Bye.